Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Seeley, I'm your host, and I'm joined by our senior tennis handicapper, it's Sean Calvert. Good afternoon to you, Sean.
Good afternoon. You all right?
Not bad. Well, I'm more worried about you. You said you're cold. It's freezing cold, isn't it? You can't warm up.
I've had to start doing exercises. You know, people always say like, "Oh, we do it." You know, people, you haven't got time to go to the gym, do some exercise at your desk and stuff like that. I don't.
Yep.
You always do that. I can imagine.
This was the only exercise I do.
Lifting an empty glass.
Full glass of lager, but there's no lager in this.
Normally full.
It's lemon juice in there. All gone.
Well, it was.
I've
forgotten what I was saying now.
You're saying about exercises.
It's so cold though, isn't it? I mean, you know, people say I moan about stuff, and you know, obviously I do. But it's this office where I work. It's, as I said before, it's outside, so it's not exactly warm in here. And if you sat at a desk, which I had been for about 6, 7, 8 hours this morning, your feet just get freezing. You have to do a load of exercise. I'm finding myself doing like lunges and, you know, bicep curls and that just to get the sort of blood pumping. But I don't go on a bit too far because I mean the glutes have gone a bit today. So maybe I'm not as supple as I used to be.
That sounds a bit heavy just to warm up. But just turn the heater up.
I can't warm up. I'm like a lizard. This is why I go to like the hot tournaments, because until about lunchtime or just after lunch, I'm freezing, whatever the weather is. And then, you know, once I have a bit of lunch and that, and I'm fine. But it takes me a long time to get going in the morning. It always has, even when I was younger. It's nothing to do with the fact that I'm a bit older now.
I got in the car yesterday, and I've got a little convertible car. I've had it for years. I'm not changing the car.
Little Ferrari or something.
It's a little Audi. It's a convertible, but it's like when I got it, it was my pride and joy. But now I love it too much. I'm not going to get rid of it. I don't want a new car. I want to keep running that one to the ground. I don't use cars anymore. I just like last year I probably done 500 miles. That was all.
I'm just Megan's taxi driver. That's all I use cars for. Yeah.
I got in the car yesterday, and it all the ice was inside.
That can happen.
To chiseled all the ice out. That's how cold it was. Horrible. I couldn't open the door.
It's not pleasant, is it? We're watching the tennis players in like 28, 30 degrees, and we're sort of sat here at -4.
I know. Well, some parts of America, it's like -15, -20. The NFL games last week was insane. So
there's a lot worse off than me. Even in Scotland, because Natasha was supposed to be going up to Scotland, it was -15.
Yep.
So we have it easy here, but you know, I do like the sun and the warmth. I can't be doing with this.
Well, do some exercises. Get yourself ready.
I've done them.
Get yourself motivated. Come on, Sean, we can do it.
I've done them. They're all done, don't worry.
We need some motivation. We need some winners, Sean. We need some winners. We haven't started very well this year. We're a little bit behind.
Question.
Yeah, we're doing get some motivate, get some exercises, get your mind set, and get some tips. Let's have a look at the tournament. Obviously, some of these players are through to the last 16 already now. It goes so quick. All of a sudden, we're 1 week in the tournament, round 16. So we're through to the round 4. Still some matches this evening in round 3, which we'll talk about. But let's have a look at the outright prices now for the men's singles at the Australian Open 2024. And Novak Djokovic is the market leader at +110. He was +120. I was thinking that line might have actually moved a little bit more. He started off at even money. He's now still bigger than what at the start. But the draws opened up for him. And he for the first time today, he played well. Another tournament. Alcaraz +280. Yannick Sinner, who's just been in sensational form, at $4. Medvedev came through in a real struggle yesterday against Ruud.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was a long match. What time did that finish about? Because I was out yesterday.
About 4 o'clock in the morning. Nearly 4 o'clock in the morning.
How do they get out of there? You know, you can't do that in England or London. You wouldn't be able to do it. How can you get home from there for 1 in the morning? But anyway,
it depends where you live. If you live relatively close to Melbourne Park, then fine. I'm sure there are taxis still operating at that time, although you always have to pay a premium. The difference with Wimbledon is that the local, as you probably know, the local council don't allow them to play after, I think it's 11, isn't it, PM?
Yeah.
Because of the local council rules, but obviously they don't have that in New York and Melbourne.
Man, 4 in the morning anyway. Alex de Minaur now 30-1. He's the 5th favourite to win his first major. Dimitrov 33, Zverev 40, Rublev, who come through very easy today against Korda, 50-1. Tsitsipas, the last year's beaten finalist, 50-1. Casper Ruud 75, Hurkacz 75, and Tommy Paul, the leading American at 100. I said at the top of the show when we looked at the odds there, Novak Djokovic. I was expecting to see Novak Djokovic back at minus money today. I really did, because he's now got an exhausted Manarino before he gets in the quarterfinals, and the draw has opened up for him a little bit with Ben Shelton going out this morning. What did you make of Djokovic today?
Well, I didn't watch that much of it because I was watching Shelton.
Right.
It's a great match. I did see some of Djokovic, but they were on at the same time, weren't they? I saw bits of Djokovic. I didn't see as much of it. The Shelton match was a great match, by the way. It's clash of stars. I thought that would be a slightly tricky one for Shelton, but he kind of let his chances go there, Shelton, unfortunately, from 2-1 up. He kind of let himself get dragged into the Manarino kind of web of kind of peculiar shots and the magic that he weaves, and he didn't quite have the strength, the physicality to get past the last 2 sets, unfortunately, Shelton. But yeah, for Novak Djokovic, the bits that I did see, he did look better, certainly, than the first 2 rounds. I still think the forehand look is a little shaky, maybe slightly affected by this supposed wrist injury, but you know, you had your chances, didn't you, against Djokovic? Popyrin was the guy that should have done it, really. He should have gone 2 sets up, 2 sets to 1 up. You know, from there, anything was possible. Once you let Djokovic off the hook like that, you don't get another chance very often, do you? And Echeverry didn't really have the stardust, if you want to call it that, to really press Djokovic into a sort of 4th or 5th set. So if you're a Djokovic backer, it's looking pretty handy for you at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's opened up. It's funny how quickly things change. We were saying this that last time we spoke a couple of days ago, Djokovic potentially a fade and out to plus 120, and now we're saying that plus 110. We thought we might be. Well, I did.
We didn't have the necessary to fade him, did we? We sort of said we're not sure whether to back or fade.
I've actually faded him. I've taken a wager on him. Someone's bet Djokovic for me to win the tournament, but
you might be able to offset that in play if he plays someone like, I don't know, Sinner, or, well, Sinner's the obvious one. In the semi-finals, he might get Djokovic back at a bigger price if he goes.
That's a massive match for me, that Sinner man, because I'm on Sinner at 16-1 to win the tournament from last November. Last October.
Problem with that is if Sinner wins against Djokovic, you can't. I mean, he's got to get there first. I can't imagine Kashanov's going to be easy.
No,
that'll be probably 4 sets at least. I would have thought long sets. Then he's got to play probably Diminor or Rublev. He'll probably be hoping it's Rublev because he's thrashed Rublev, hasn't he? The last few times, Diminor will probably make him play a lot more balls. Then he's got to play Djokovic. If he gets through that, you can't imagine that'll be anything less than a sort of 5-setter. And then he's got to play a final. So, and it's going to get hot again next week. Wednesday 31, Tuesday 27. So depending on when these matches are played, you know, it's a tough old ride for Jannik Sinner.
Thank you very much for dampening my optimism. I was getting very excited about it, and you just come.
I'm not saying he's not going to do it. I'm not saying he's not going to do it.
You just made me feel. I was all pumped. 16-1 into 4-1. Big Max G.
You could lay him though, couldn't you? What is he now? 6-1, 5-6.
Don't do them things. We're all in. It's basically all in. Not worrying about it. No hedging.
Are you each way then, or just
just a win? All in.
Okay.
All in. No 16-1. Bang.
It's a good price. I'm not saying it's not a good price. I'm just saying that is a difficult draw. Very difficult.
200. I've had 200 quid on him at 16-1, and I've laid Djokovic for £1,000. So that match is worth it. If they get that far, it's a huge match for me.
When that match plays, let's follow Nigel on Twitter and see.
I'll be taking the dog for a long walk for about 45 minutes, an hour, and not watching. I always do that. I always just take the dog out and just whenever there's a big game, there's big. But I just think Sinner's the man this year. I think he's the one. Anyway, let's see. There's a long way to go, and if we do get that eventuality, we'll have it covered here on the show on Game Bet Match. Just one other quick thing. We've got obviously Medvedev come through an epic yesterday. Huge match, just scary against Ruud, and Alcaraz not looking convincing either.
Yeah, so Medvedev, he certainly didn't hit the heights, did he? Yesterday, he was terrible in the first 2 sets, even though he served for the second set. Just he did say after, he kind of explained why. He said it was to do with the warm-up, wasn't it? He wasn't warming up at the right time and in the right conditions because he didn't know whether the roof was going to be on, roof was going to be off, when he was going to be on. So he said he didn't eat at the right time, he didn't warm up at the right time, so he came in cold, if you want to call it that, in that match. And he certainly did. He was very, very poor during most of that match, actually. It was only in the 5th set, really, at about 3:30 in the morning that he started playing his best stuff, Medvedev. Prior to that, he was poor, really poor. Ruud would probably be kicking himself not winning that in sort of 3 or 4 sets, really. So what has that taken out of Medvedev? I mean, he should be all right. I mean, I say that. He probably didn't get to bed till 6 o'clock in the morning, so we'll have to see. It's not a plus, is it, for Medvedev back? Because it's not something we want to see. And as far as Alcaraz is concerned, you know, I did say, didn't I, that Sonego often takes at least a set against top 10 players. I suggested it might be the first set. Of course, it was the second set that Sonego won and had another tiebreak as well, didn't he? So Alcaraz not convincing at all. Medvedev potentially tired. You know, that bottom half is wide open.
It certainly is. Medvedev out to 12-1, and Alcaraz is now plus 280 with Bet Rivers. I was going to mention one other thing. And I don't know if you watched it. I know you don't follow the. You didn't see that tiebreak yesterday between Rybakina and Blinkova, did you?
I heard of it. I didn't see it.
Mike, Sean, you've got to watch it. It's the most amazing tiebreak you'll ever see. 42 points it went on for, 16 match points. Betting in play must have been
16 match points. I'm surprised I wasn't on Rybakina.
It was unbelievable. She had 6 match points, and the Blinkova converted on a 10th match point. And Blinkova's playing today against Paolini, and I'm not joking. I mean, you've got to be a massive fade of Blinkova after that match. I mean, that tiebreak, emotionally, what it was taken out of her was absolutely incredible. You got to watch it to believe it. It was amazing.
I can believe it.
Amazing.
I've seen a lot of WTA in my time. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Incredible. 42 minutes, the longest ever tiebreak in the Grand Slam history. That was incredible on that women's match. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, look it up on YouTube. But in play, the twists and turns of the betting on Bet Rivers website were just insane to watch. Okay, let's move across to the matches, and we've highlighted 4 matches that we will feature here on the show. The first one is this evening at 9:30. It's 2 big servers, Hubert Hurkacz up against Ugo Humbert, big left-hander. Hurkacz is minus 175. Humbert is plus 138. If you look at the spread, it's 2.5, minus 182. Humbert minus 112. Sorry, I couldn't read my writing. Hurkacz, Humbert plus 2.5 is minus 114, and the total here is a very high 40.5, which, when you consider how big the serving are, these 2 players, that wouldn't surprise you. If you look at the 2 matches they played previously, Hurkacz has won them both, but both matches in 2022 and 2023 featured a tiebreak. And, in this sort of conditions here, you would think this is another long one, but 40.5 is pitch dark. Before we come on to that match, Sean, you say the weather's changing, it's going to be hot again. What are the conditions here going to be like for this match this evening?
A little bit warmer again, 26 degrees during the day in Melbourne, so a little bit warmer than we've seen in the previous days, and then it goes back down again to sort of 21 again, then back up to 27 and 31. So typical Melbourne. But as far as this match is concerned, warmish, warmer than it has been in the last couple of days.
So that's it. So we're going to get a little bit hotter, but who's going to win it? Who's going to be the hottest on the court?
I like Hubert here. Right. Did you say that he was our best player last year in terms of winning? He
was
bets?
Our most profitable player, not only on the outright, but on the matches as well. When we went with him, he made us more money than anybody else, and we obviously got him at 33-1 to win the tournament. What tournament was that?
Shanghai, wasn't it?
Shanghai. That was it.
Yeah, I do like him here. I mean, I don't like Humbert against big hitters, big servers, basically. If you look at Humbert's career record against opponents who have an average first serve speed of over 192 kilometers an hour, of which Hurkacz is one, his record is 4 wins and 18 losses, Humbert, and an average of 31% return points won. So he really is not at his best at all against someone with the power on the serve that Hurkacz has. Look at the head-to-head. You mentioned it, a couple of tie breaks you mentioned a minute ago, but overall it's very much in favor of Hurkacz. The service points won and return points won totals 106-94 in favor of Hubert Hurkacz. Humbert's only won 29% of his return points against Hurkacz, so no real inroads at all on the Hurkacz serve. He's held serve 89% of the time as Hurkacz against Humbert. So the matchup has been favourable one for Hurkacz. Yes, he's won the 2 matches, and one of them was a final set tiebreak. He often goes that way, doesn't he? But he's certainly had the better of things. He also has a very, very good record against left-handers, does Hubert Hurkacz. Won 16 of his last 19 matches against lefties. Lost a couple against the very tricky Adrian Mannarino. But Humbert doesn't play that way. Humbert doesn't play with that kind of guile that Mannarino does. We cashed him the other day, didn't we, as well, Hurkacz, in the over games against Mensik. Maybe slightly lucky there because it went the way I thought, but Mensik, he did really well to win that first set, Mensik. He should a little bit of burglary winning that first set, Mensik. Hurkacz was a bit too passive, as he often is, which is often why he leads himself into tiebreaks. He doesn't press enough. He's content to sort of wait. Does need to impose himself more, I think, in matches, Hurkacz, but I feel like he's got the beating of Humbert here, and the fact that Humbert very rarely gets close to the Hurkacz serve suggests to me that the minus 2.5 games on the handicap on Hurkacz is the way to play this, which is a minus 114 chance with Bet Rivers 1.88 in decimal.
Yeah, it's actually moved to minus 112 now. A little bit better for us. Slightly, but
even better then. What's that, 1.9?
Yeah, they're even better for us. So -112, we're going to go for Hurkacz, -2.5 on the game handicap. And remember, the poll is our most profitable player last season, and we read him right this week. We've got 100% record on him in 2024 in his matches as well. So he's a bit of a lucky charm for us on this podcast, Hurkacz. Whenever we go with
he's
him,
easy to read. That's
yeah,
why.
he's quite good too. And remember, there's a staggering 44 markets available on the Bet Rivers website on this match, 45 on some of the matches tomorrow. I don't think you'll see a better array of markets than with any other sports book across the United States of America. And remember, if you watch live, you can bet live with Bet Rivers. You'll be able to live stream that match on your tablet or your home computer. And also remember, Bet Rivers have an offer. They're offering a live profit boost on every day of the Australian Open. When you place a wager of at least $25 during a match, you'll receive a 20% profit boost. Limit 1 per day, every day of the tournament. See the Bet Rivers website for full details on the Australian Open. Bet and get. So bet and get, watch live and bet live. Okay, next match. Cam Norrie. Amazing, still in the tournament, actually, to be fair. Had a bit of an injury concern coming into it, but he's up against Casper Ruud. Now, the Norwegian has an exceptional record against Cam Norrie. He's played 3 times, he's won 3 times, and pretty one-sided affairs. In San Diego in 2021, he won 6-love, 6-1 in the final there. So the Brit hasn't got anywhere near to Ruud in their previous matches. He's a favourite here, Casper Ruud, no surprise with that head-to-head, -278. Cam Norrie is 215. The spread is 4.5, around about -110 and -114 for Cam Norrie, receiving 4.5. And the total here is 39.5. Can Cam make this a little bit competitive, or does it go to the form book and the head-to-head?
I think Casper Ruud should be winning this.
Yeah.
I said in the last one, didn't I, that Norrie would potentially struggle against Zeppier. He was 2 sets down, wasn't he? The overs, the lead on that one was easily successful, wasn't it? I mean, on current form and also the career series, Ruud really should be winning this match. You know, he's been working pretty hard over the off season, Casper Ruud, on several things. He changed his physical coach, lost a bit of weight. He said he was a couple of kilos too heavy last year. Playing more aggressively now, which he does need to do, because he has been a little bit too passive at times, Casper Ruud. But I think those are all positive changes. You know, he's not just settling for what he's achieved so far. He's trying to bring more layers to his game. In the last 12 months at main level and outdoor hard, Casper Ruud, a better record, 104 in terms of service points won and return points won, compared to Norwich 101. And their head-to-head is, as you said, frighteningly overwhelming in favour of Casper Ruud. 109 to 91 in terms of the service points won and return points won. Pretty big margin there. Casper Ruud's held serve 90% of the time against Cam Norrie, and Norrie's only held serve 66% of the time. So there's not much to say as far as Norrie's concerned here. The reality for him is he's going to have to play a lot better than he has done at any time in the last sort of 9-10 months to win this. He's got to turn around an unfavourable matchup. So for me, if you're betting in this match, Casper Ruud -1.5 sets or under 39.5 total games, I think that's a -120 chance of Bet Rivers. I think that's where I'd be heading if I was having a wager on this one.
Yeah, so no, the final Brit standing, Cam Norrie, in the men's and the women's draw, but he will not be making the last 16 in Melbourne, according to Sean here. And it's going to go to the head-to-head. Casper Ruud leads 3-0, could be making it 4-0. And talking of head-to-heads, the next match is an incredible head-to-head. And Medvedev, obviously, we touched on him, must be exhausted. Finished his last match at 4 a.m. in the morning with that win over Ruud. And he's up next against Felix Auger-Aliassime. And I'm quite glad to see Felix playing well here. I like Felix Auger-Aliassime. I think he's a very good talent. He lost his way at the end of last year, but he's playing well here. But he's run into his old nemesis. He's run into Medvedev, who after an overwhelming head-to-head of 6 matches they've played, and he's won the lot and only lost 1 set. He's lost 3 sets. They played in the Australian Open, didn't they? Where Medvedev won 3-2, come back from 2 sets to love down, I think it was. But an amazing head-to-head fight in favour of Medvedev here, and he's a very heavy favourite with Bet Rivers, -560 for the Russian, $4 for Felix Auger-Aliassime. The handicap is 6.5 though, which does seem quite heavy, really, I would say, given that Medvedev has matched the excursions he had through the last match. +107, Medvedev giving up 6.5. Felix Auger-Aliassime receiving 6.5 is plus -137. And the total is 35.5. The last time they met here, I think there's 39, 49, 58 games there was in their last match here in 2022. And the line is pitched at 35.5. How do you see this going?
I think the bookies are telling you there that Felix is not the player he was,
Mm.
a year or two ago. He just isn't. I don't know whether it's just injuries, loss of confidence, what it is with Felix, but he isn't playing anywhere near that level these days, and that's why the line is as it is, and obviously the head-to-head as well. The question really is, what has that ridiculously late finish against Ruud done to Medvedev? The answer may be not a lot. He doesn't generally look tired, does he, Medvedev?
No.
He's not a player that's he's not like a Monfils. He's constantly bending over, leaning on his racket between points. You don't see any of that from him, do you, Medvedev? But I mean, he started so slowly, as I said a little while ago, and blamed that on the uncertainty around when and where he was going to play and under what conditions. And he only found his form after 3.5, 4 sets. Really, if he does that again, he could be in a significant amount of trouble if Felix brings his best tennis, which again we haven't seen for quite some considerable time. In terms of the head-to-head, the totals, as you said, 0-6 win loss. The service points won and return points won totals. Medvedev 107, Felix 93. So another wide margin on the head-to-heads. Looking slightly deeper into it, Felix has only won 40% of his second serve points against Medvedev. Medvedev has won 55%. So a very clear difference in quality from the back of the court between these two. Medvedev 55, Felix 40. And Felix has only won 32% of return points. So he hasn't really been very effective at all on the Medvedev serve. Medvedev, by way of comparisons, won 39% of his return points. So if you're assuming that Medvedev has recovered in time, which I hope he has, obviously, you would imagine he's going to win this matchup against Felix again. Perhaps the way to play this is hoping or thinking again that Medvedev's going to start slowly, because the opening set between these two has been competitive pretty much all the time. The opening set's gone to at least 10 games in 4 of their last 5 meetings. And given that Medvedev could be forgiven for being a little bit rusty, so to speak, maybe a little bit slow to start, then the price on the over 10.5 in set 1 with Bet Rivers of plus 220 is one to consider, I think.
Yeah, close first set. Felix Auger-Aliassime has been a very popular bet for us on first sets to go overs, first sets to be tie breaks. If you want to go with that kind of trend, you want to get a bit of value there on the over 10.5 on set number 1 in a match that I believe might be a little bit closer than those lines suggest. I think Felix.
I hope it won't.
Yeah, I think Medvedev will come through, but I think 6.5 has been a little bit disrespectful for Felix, who everyone was talking about as being a major breakthrough 2 years ago, and now he's sort of dropped down the rankings, but he's still a quality player on his day. I think 6.5, and the timing could be right to face Medvedev. So I'm not convinced by that very heavy favourite tag for Medvedev here. Remember, that match is the night match. So that match will start around about 3 a.m. Saturday morning. So it's a late one. So you've got plenty of time to get your bets on the Felix Medvedev match. And if you want to head to the Bet Rivers website, like I said, there's 45 different markets. You'll find the market that Sean has highlighted there, over 10.5 on set number 1. The final match we are going to discuss is Tommy Paul. He's the most likely American to win this tournament. And the betting 100 to 1 though, that's the odds you're going to get for him. He's up against Kecmanovic. Tommy Paul is minus 278. Kecmanovic is
more likely than Fritz then?
Yeah, he's 100 to 1. Fritz is 125.
Okay.
Which quite surprised that, because Fritz has got a relatively easy section.
I was slightly surprised when you said that, but thinking about it, he's got to play Djokovic, I suppose, Fritz, which basically is no chance for him, really, I guess.
Tommy Paul minus 278. Kecmanovic is plus 220. Their spread here is 4.5, minus 124 for Paul, plus minus 103 for Kecmanovic, receiving the 4.5. Total is 38.5, over and under, exactly the same, minus 112. 8 p.m. Eastern start. Head to head, surprisingly, 3-1. Kecmanovic. He's got the head-to-head record, but he's an overwhelming underdog here. And if you look at their record, there's a lot of tie breaks in their matches as well. One match in the Australian Open here was 7-6, 7-5, 7-6 to Kecmanovic in round 2.
I've only got 3 matches here. They played another one.
They played in a pro match series in the UTR, which Kecmanovic won 3-4. It was first of 4 sets, 3-4, 4-1, 4-1. So it goes on my record there. But in the main level, it's 2-1 to Kecmanovic, and they met in the 2022 Australian Open, where Kecmanovic will run in round 2. What are you thinking about this one? I mean, I'm just looking at the record and looking at how the odds. Is it as clear cut as Tommy Paul being minus 278? Does that seem a bit very heavy favourite?
Yeah, I don't like this price at all, really. I know you're not a big fan of Kecmanovic, and
no,
I can see why he doesn't convince with the kind of mental side of the game, does he? He always looks miserable. Never really gives you much, does he? He just looks like it's a real chore for him a lot of the time. And I don't think he's the strongest mentally. I think it's fair to say that. But the head-to-head has been, it's favoured Kecmanovic, really. Tommy Paul's found it extremely tough facing this guy. In the three matches that were played at main level that we have the statistics for, the head-to-head does favour Kecmanovic, as I said, 102 to 98 in terms of the service points won and return points won. And Tommy Paul's found it hard to break the Kecmanovic serve. I mean, he doesn't have the biggest of serves, Kecmanovic, but Paul's done not a lot with it, really. Kecmanovic has held serve 90% of the time, which is big for a player that doesn't possess a concussive first serve. And on the second serves as well, Kecmanovic has won 57% of his second serve points, which is 5% more than Tommy Paul in this matchup. So there's not really a lot going for Tommy Paul here, other than Kecmanovic he's very in and out, isn't he? He's not a player that you'd want to put your last dollar on, is he? Sometimes he just doesn't show up. Again, a bit moody. He's not really feeling it. He can go away all too tamely, can't he? That's what would concern me here if I was backing Kecmanovic. But in theory, he should be in good spirits. He came through a really tight 5-setter against Jan-Lennard Struff. Struff didn't take his chances, did he? I think he had a match point on his own serve.
I think a couple of match points, didn't he?
A couple.
Match. Yeah, but not only serve, he had one on his serve, but I think he had 2 match points and failed to take them.
Yeah, he definitely had one on his serve. I was trying to watch 2 or 3 matches at once at the time, and I didn't actually see what he did, but he certainly didn't take the match point. Paul's playing well. Beat Jack Draper. What did Draper have a lot left in the tank? Well, possibly not. I just think on the head-to-head, it's not a very good price, is it, on Tommy Paul? There's a couple of ways you can play it. I mean, set one overs, that's cashed. Obviously, 2 of the 3 times that they've played. Look, all the sets they've played: 7-5, 7-6, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. Their last 5 sets they've met on outdoor hard. So over 10.5 at 3.1 plus 210 with Bet Rivers is kind of an obvious option there. Or the over 38.5 games. I feel like if Paul is going to win this match, I feel like he's going to have to do it the hard way, unless Kecmanovic puts in one of his moody ones and just kind of disappears in a kind of feeble 3. But if he's there, and he should be, over 38.5 is certainly an option at around about minus 111 with Bet Rivers, 1.9 in decimal.
I think the reason why he's the price he is because of that marathon match against Struff coming into this match. The market obviously always likes to oppose these players who have these huge matches before, long matches before. So that's probably why it is. But the last time they played, this was it wasn't
that long. It was like 3 hours 21. I mean, it was a 5-setter, but 3 hours 21 that's not that long, really, is it?
No, not really.
It's
but
not like
I think the market does look at 5-setters, and especially with tie breaks and thinks, this is a little bit of interesting. But the last time they met was in the Australian Open back in 2022. Kecmanovic was plus 188 to win that match. He's plus 220, and he did win the match in 3 straight sets. So at plus 220, it probably is a little bit of value given the head-to-head and given that the form the 2 of them show coming into it. That's 8 p.m. Eastern time. Remember, the action starts around about 7 p.m. Eastern time this evening. Check the Bearers website. There's a whole host of other matches as well, not only on the men's draw, but also the women's draw. And you'll be able to see our WTA picks. I'll give a couple of picks on there today. I've got one pick today. I think sort of touched on it already, but that will be posted on our betting angles. You'll be able to see that on our YouTube channel and also on our socials. Remember, our social, you can follow us at Because We Win on Twitter and Instagram, and you subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios YouTube channel. Thank you very much for all the new subscribers. We've got a huge amount of subscribers in the last couple of weeks, so thank you very much for everyone. If you're new to the channel, welcome along. There's some great soccer content this week as well. European show and the Premier League is back, and there's loads of stuff on the YouTube channel on the soccer. And you can also download the podcast on your preferred podcast provider as well. So thank you very much for all the new subscribers. Keep liking, keep giving us the comments. We'll answer any questions. What's your best bet? We want to know your best bet. Who do you want to win the tournament? Are you with me? Are you Team Sinner, or do you think Djokovic is a fader? It's up to me. Hopefully you'll be cheering me on if we get to that semi-final. Sean, thank you very much for your time, my friend. I know we won't be back tomorrow. It's the weekend, but we'll be back on Sunday on our usual time, and we'll be looking ahead. I think we'll be quarterfinals then, won't it? Looking at quarterfinals or the 4th round. But anyway,
I know.
The tennis is coming fast.
We'll
be back on Sunday previewing the matches for Sunday. Enjoy your day. Good luck with your wagers. But before we go, Sean, just give us a quick recap. What are the best bets for this evening?
Yeah, my official play is Hubert Hurkacz minus 2.5 games on the handicap, around about 1.9 with Bet Rivers to beat Humbert.
That is just the official pick. Leans on the other three. Enjoy your day. Good luck with your bets. Take care.